A fossil hay from a CFA. What's up, guys? Ashby Gale here, owner of Charleston Fossil Adventures and photographer and co-author of A Beachcomber's Guide to Fossils. Today we're out cruising the canal up here in North Myrtle Beach to try and find fossils from the Goose Creek Limestone Formation. It's a unit that's 3 to 5 million years old. It is known for lots of shell fossils. However, you can also find vertebrate remains, and as this is part of our Shark Tooth Hunting the Carolinas series, we're hoping for some shark teeth out here in the waterway. So let's go ahead and find our first site. So we're definitely on the trail of teeth because we've already got a tooth sitting right down here. This one is going to belong to one of the cow-nosed rays in the genus Rhinoptera. We've got that wonderful ridged root sitting face up. And if we flip it over, we can see the occlusal, or the chewing surface right there. Wonderful, flat hexagons. So these little pointed ends indicating that this is a complete tooth, shed just like a shark would lose a tooth. All right, let's get into the sharks now. Got our first shark tooth now, not 10 minutes after the stingray tooth. Hiding right down here. Looks to be like a very nice upper tooth from either a bull or a dusky shark. Just had a boat come through and its wake uncovered this one right down here. Beautiful little set of teeth called a tooth battery from a burr fish, which is a relative of the porcupine fish. Wonderful little set of layered enamel plates it's using to grind up all of the mollusks and other invertebrates that it's eating. Whoops. Sometimes it's just really cool to think that here we are walking on the side of this canal and there's something that's 3 to 5 million years old that is just sitting here. It's been waiting really just to break up into a bunch of little pieces, but today it's going to get some appreciation. This shell right here, it's a whole cluster. We have some northern star coral, we have an oyster right here, but if we pull this whole thing out, wow. So we have a whole story on this thing. We have an oyster, and then growing off of that oyster, we have another oyster. It's actually a whole assemblage of oysters. I initially thought this was going to be one of our kind of indicative fossils from the Goose Creek Limestone called Chesapecten, but instead we have actual both valves of that original oyster. Look at that. Second shark tooth of the day, and check that out. We got ourselves an upper tooth from a great white. That makes sense because we are collecting the Goose Creek Limestone. Great whites originated about 5 million years ago, so the upper limit of the rock formation. Beautiful serrations there on that one. And not 2 feet away, got a beautiful little blade here from a sand tiger, possibly something from the Goose Creek Limestone. However, we also have the Cretaceous PD formation up here. So this is possibly about 75 million years old. So we get a lot of questions about how we can tell if a shell is fossilized, and even from people just walking on the beaches wanting to find fossilized shells, you might find some really beautifully preserved ones like this. This one is an imperial Venus clam. A lot of people refer to it as the Polly's Island shell, but they can be found all across the southeast. We even had questions about whether or not these are fossilized out here because they're literally littering the beach. And with such beautiful preservation and no rock on the inside, it would make us seem to think that it's from a younger, what we call a Holocene unit, so something less than 10,000 years old. Well, all you have to do to tell if something is fossilized is find another one stuck inside of a rock. So right here we have the Goose Creek Limestone stuck even on the inside of the shell. So we can tell post-mortem this shell was fossilized, preserved in that 3 to 5 million year old rock deposit. And so side-by-side comparisons, both of these are 3 to 5 million years old. Check this out, guys. This is the first time I've ever had this happen on a tour. Look at that. Oh my gosh, do you think we need to call the cops?
Yeah, probably.
It was either blunt force trauma or a bullet wound. Got one blending in down here. We have this unusually kind of orangey brown sand, but lovely little tooth from the top jaw of a bull or dusky shark. And some of you might be saying, oh no, it's broken. But that break actually tells us a lot about this individual. Because that broke at an oblique angle and the rest of the preservation on this tooth is really, really complete and nice, we can tell that this is actually a fracture that happened while that shark was alive and it bit into something, snapping off the tip of its own tooth. Beautiful little shiny tooth up here. And it comes from none other than Gallicerdo cuvier, very coarsely serrated teeth. We're missing the most diagnostic part of this, which is the distal heel, where even the serrations have serrations. But wonderful color and shine on this one. Let's see how big this tooth is. Oh, what we see is what we get. That one is another little upper tooth from a member of the reef shark genus, Carcharinus. All right, so we've traveled a long way. It's gotten a little bit later in the day, but managed to find a spot here. Right off the bat, got a few interesting things. We have a nice Conrad Austria oyster from the Goose Creek Limestone. A section of turtle shell right here. Could be Ice Age. We also do have the Cretaceous PD formation here, so it could be Cretaceous. And some little tiny sand tiger shark tooth there. And then right here, down by the edge of the water, got a pretty big pair of fossilized scallops washing out here. And, yep, let's see. Beautiful, beautiful scallop pairing right here. Infilled with the matrix right there, keeping the halves together. Find that makes that boat ride, that long boat ride, really worth it. All right, let's see what else is out here. Take a look at this, biggest tooth of the day. Look at this beauty sitting here in the sand. That one, based on these serrations, that one's going to be a nice great white. Oh man, absolutely beautiful preservation on those serrations right up there at the tip. Wow, very cool, upwards of 5 million years old. Let's see if we can get some more. Now we talk about this a lot on this channel, that you have to keep your eyes out for different shapes when you're hunting, even for shark teeth. This thing right here, believe it or not, is a very polished, very water-worn, small Megalodon. It's missing one corner of the root right here, but that thing is polished all to heck. It's got folded clam borings on it. Those little divots that run through there where clams have kind of drilled through the edge, trying to make a home. Very similar actually to all of the clam boreholes that happened in this chunk of phosphate. So, believe it or not, we did find a Meg out here on the canal. So we got a few last minute finds here from this island before we push off and hopefully find another productive spot. Right here, beautiful Conrad Austria oyster that has been colonized by northern star coral. Again, a piece like this just tells such a fascinating story because this oyster was sitting at the bottom of the ocean floor and this little coral colony said, hey, you know what? I'm going to land there. And suddenly it was stuck on that oyster. It grew there for the rest of its life. And we can even see some very tiny holes and pitting right there, indicating that after the coral colonized the oyster, then a boring sponge called Cliona colonized the entire set. So just a beautiful little microcosm of the bottom of our ocean floor in a single fossil. We also scored this piece of bone that has some more of that folid boring clam. Again, lots of boring stuff out here, but very exciting. Clams that drilled into the bone, leaving all those little pock marks. And then some Cretaceous finds. Both of these are from the PD Formation, 75 million year old squalocorax or crow shark teeth. Very cool there. Squalocorax pristodonus on this larger one, possibly Lindströmi or maybe a juvenile pristodonus on that smaller tooth. And then the absolute kicker was this vertebra right here. Now, if you're used to seeing vertebrae like this on our channel, you're familiar with calling them shark and fish vertebrae. However, we can find ray vertebrae, and this one is a very large ray centrum from the Cretaceous. This is Brachyrhizotus, has a little bit of a different bone and cartilage structure to it. Looks a little bit more like that layered fish and reptile bone along the outer margins. And you can also notice it has this hexagonal or very oval, squished, dorsal ventrally appearance. So very flat, just like the ray would have been. Awesome score on that one. There's not a lot of black things on this beach. As you can see, it's primarily oyster shells, so it's really easy to spot these fossils. A heck of a lot easier than down in Charleston, that's for sure. But that means it is super easy to inspect any black object you see on the beach. So normally in Charleston, I would dismiss this as phosphate. Let's see if it happens to be something. Looks like, yep, we got ourselves something in the Megalodon lineage, possibly a small meg here from the Goose Creek Limestone, possibly even one of the older ones, but very water-worn. Definitely worked down into that lag deposit of the Goose Creek Limestone. If you've been following our Shark Tooth Hunting the Carolinas series, you probably have noticed, as with many of our videos, they all take place on the shorelines here in South Carolina. And indeed, that is one of the most easily accessed zones where members of the public can come out and collect fossils for free and have the legal ability to do so. So in South Carolina, our laws, and we will probably make a video devoted to this in the future, but the laws regarding collection here in South Carolina is that if you collect between the low and high tide line, you do not need a permit. You can just walk out and collect like we're doing today. The moment you go below the low mean water line, that is when you need what's called a hobby diving license. Really is a bit of a misnomer. It's an artifact collection license. Even if you're not diving, anything below that mean low tide mark, you need a permit to pick up. Now, just because you get a permit does not mean you can use tools. So even just scooping with your hands up into a floating sifter here in South Carolina, that is considered a mechanical means of sorting and collection, and even that is prohibited. So truly just use your eyes on our shorelines, pay attention to those no trespassing signs. So anything up on land, you do need written landowner consent to be at the site. The website with all of the South Carolina state laws and regulations regarding collecting, as well as the hobby diving license program, is linked in the description below. So just how did we figure out that all of these random shorelines that we're walking today might hold some fossils? Well, essentially what we did is we looked at some geologic maps of the area, and the stretch of the canal that we're in right now was artificially created. And so by looking at the geologic maps, we can tell what deposits are underneath the ground level, and also where all of that dredged out sediment was dumped, decades ago. We looked for exposures of the Goose Creek Limestone in the PD Formation, and we were able to tell, okay, in this zone, we have a really good chance of finding fossils from these units. And so far, as you can see, we've been relatively successful. Now, why are we so fascinated with the Goose Creek Limestone? If you've seen my earlier video where I actually kayaked out and looked at the type locality, I'll link it down below in this video. You saw the original cliff face where the scientists were like, hey, this rock unit we're going to call the Goose Creek Limestone because it's right here in Goose Creek. That unit is broken up into a few different sections, and the one at the very, very bottom is the one that we are most interested in. Invertebrate fossils are cool, however, things with bones and teeth are just a little bit cooler. And so we're coming out here hoping to find a Meg. This is a Megalodon tooth, 5.9 inch tooth, almost complete, but it came from the Goose Creek Limestone Formation. If anyone has been on one of our Folly Beach adventures, you know that, yeah, that is the rock unit that we are finding fossils from on Folly Beach from that beach renourishment in 2014. So looking for that lag layer of all the phosphate and all the other bones and teeth at the bottom of the Goose Creek Limestone, that is kind of why we came out here today, to see if we could find anything from that lowermost part of the formation. People ask us a lot, do you come out in all types of weather? And right now, it's a good testament to the fact that we do. It's probably in the 40s right now, and we've just had a really long boat ride. But anyway, if you want to come out on a trip like this, find fossils with our team of paleontologists, then check out the link in the description below, because we have a lot of really cool trips up on our website to a lot of really amazing places in Charleston that have fossils like these, and some that are honestly even cooler. So with that, we want to thank everyone for watching. As always, happy hunting. We encourage you to collect responsibly, and we'll see you next time.